What's going on, my little bundle of chestnuts? It's your girl, Kate Winchester here, and I need a cigarette for this story. So, I don't know what happened the last time Ashton stayed the night. All I know is it was fucking crazy, and it freaked me out. And it freaked him out too. Like, he was honestly, like, kind of on the fence about coming back to stay the night. Like, when this happened. So, okay. So let's just start from when I got into witchcraft, okay? I wanted my ex back, which is why I got into it, but I mainly kind of got into it for more because I just kind of figured out that I was one, and I was just practicing. Hey, you're not going inside. You're going to scare the new cat. You're fine. Hey, you're fine. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Atlas, you're fine. It's not hot out here. It's not cold out here. You have food. You have water. You have a big-ass yard to go poop. You're fine. Bark at me. Atlas, you're fine. So anyway, then there was a man with a bird, and he tried to get my ex back for me, and I didn't pay because I thought it was a scam. So we move into this new house, and this house has never been lived in. This house has never been lived in by anybody else. This is a completely new house. Like, my dad bought it before it was even up from the ground. Like, so it was just a big plot of dirt, and my dad said that one. Keep that in mind. This house has not been lived in by anybody. We are the only people that have lived in here. So the reason why this story has me a little sketched out is that reason right there. So, for a while now, even in the old room, I felt like there was somebody watching me. And I've told a couple stories about that room. And I've always been waking up with scratches and with, feeling like somebody was watching me. Like, that was just kind of the norm over there and now over here, because I guess it followed me. Ashton came over to stay the night one night, and he's cuddling with me, and he's falling asleep. And when okay, let me start from the very beginning. Ashton came over here to stay the night, right? And this was the night that we played Passion Play, and the last time he was over here, And we were falling asleep after the game, and we were kind of sharing our paranormal stories. I was just kind of asked him out of the blue, do you believe in ghosts? And he was just like, yeah, I do. Like, I've been followed around my entire life. I have seen people that have died, and then I talked to them about who that strange man was, and then they describe who passed away, and I described them perfectly just because I seen them. And I was like, oh, wow, like, that's crazy. And, it was just like a conversation that we had, and then we went back to watching a movie. And the conversation was completely forgotten about. So this was not our minds playing tricks on us after all that. But I felt like I was being watched all of a sudden. And I didn't say nothing because I didn't want to scare him. And as soon as I felt that, Ashton paused the movie, and he's just kind of like looking around. He's like, something's in here. And I was like, what do you mean something's in here? He's like, I feel energy, like I feel something. I was like, oh my god, I felt something too. I just didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to freak you out. But apparently he felt the energy ever since we started talking about our story, like our stories or whatever. But he felt it more intensely as soon as I felt it. And so we're sitting here, barbecue sauce on our titties, just waiting for something to happen. And he was just like, okay, it's probably just watching, let's just go to bed. So I turn over and he goes to cuddle me. And his arm just like he goes like this all of a sudden, and he sits up freaked out, and he's like looking at the direction that his arm was. And I was like, what? And he's just like, something pulled my arm. And I was like, what? And I thought he was fucking with me. I was like, Ashton, stop. Like, I was getting scared. I thought he was fucking around with me. I was like, Ashton, stop. You're scaring me. This isn't funny. And he's like, I'm not playing a trick on you, babe. I don't fuck around like that. Your ex might have, he did. But I didn't, I wouldn't play around like that. Like, and he was white, like whiter than a sheet. He's sweating. He's shaking. He's like freaked out. Like, thoroughly freaked the fuck out. And he's just like, something touched me. I don't know what happened. And I was just like, oh my God. And I didn't want to tell him that previously I have felt people jerk me around in my sleep. I have been dragged off of the bed before, and I don't know. That's another. Let me tell that side story real quick. Actually, no. ADHD is fucking with me right now. I have serious ADHD, so just bear with me. And it triggers it when I'm freaked out like this. So he's telling me all this, and then we turn the light on, because I still have that childish fear of if the lights are on, the demons go, ah! And then, like, they can't freaking do nothing, because the light destroys them, the light hurts them, they can't get you in the light, basically. So oh, how stupid of me. So I turn the light on, and we're just kind of sitting there, like, in the corner of the bed, and I'm just like, are you sure, babe, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm sure. And as soon as he said, yeah, I'm sure, the baby, like, starts screaming. Like, out of nowhere. He went from being sound asleep to just all of a sudden, ah! We're just like, what is going on? Oh my God, the baby. So we get the baby, and then he immediately was like, something is by his bed. And I was just like, what do you mean something is by his bed? And he's like, I can see it. And he described perfectly what I have seen in my nightmares for years. The things that I keep seeing in my nightmares. Like, I always see this really tall figure, and covered in black, like he looks almost like a shadow, and he's big enough for the floor all the way up to the seal right there. He is like bigger than a door. He's pretty bulky but skinny at the same time, and it's terrifying. And his arms are longer than his body, and they touch the floor, and he's got these long nails that touch the ground. I have seen this thing in my dreams since I was 8 years old, and I swear to God, he described that figure perfectly without me having to describe it to him at all. He was like, I just kind of asked him, I was like, what does it look like? And he told me, and I start bawling and shaking and freaking out, and he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I have seen that thing in my dreams since I was 8 years old. That is my sleep paralysis demon. Every time I have sleep paralysis, that thing is what attacks me. That thing is what gets me. I am freaking out. I am not safe. Like, I have chills. I have goosebumps now. But so, yeah, the baby starts screaming. We get the baby. He describes perfectly what he was seeing, that I have been seeing since I was 8 years old. It's a motorcycle. And so I'm shaking. I'm having a panic attack. And he just stands up really quickly. And he's just like, kind of like standing there on the edge of the bed looking at the crib. And I was like, what's wrong? And, like, I'm freaking out. I was like, what's wrong? What are you doing? And he's like, I swear to God. He was like, I swear to God, something was breathing on my neck. And I said, what do you mean? And I stood up to where he was, and just instant cold. It is below freaking zero. It felt like the door was open and it was cold outside. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like just pure cold air. And I am freaking out. Like, I am not safe. I don't feel okay. I am, like, hell to the nah. You know, so I don't even know where to like start with this, but it's just a whole bunch of shit unfolded. So I get pissed off at Mama Bear because this thing scared my baby. I was like, you can fuck with me, but you can never fuck with my kid. So I'm standing there and I'm praying. I have the Bible open and I'm reading verses, and then all of a sudden Ashton goes, babe, stop. And I said, what? And he's like, you're making it mad, stop. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm making it mad, it's working. Like, get out, bitch. And he was like, no, babe, really, stop. And then I was like, what? Why? There's a freaking scratch on the back of his, like, on his side right here. He immediately, like, clutches it, and he's like, seriously, stop. And I was like, what's wrong? And I look, and there are 3 scratch marks by his side. He was not touching, his hands were, like, to his side like this. I'm reading the Bible and shit. There's no way that he could have scratched himself. I could have scratched him. No. I will send a picture on my Instagram for y'all, since y'all probably don't believe me. It's not cap. I am not capping. No cap. No freaking cap. I'm freaking the hell out. Oh, hell no to the no. Hell to the no. For real. Seriously. No. Just no. So, he's like, he just kind of sits there and he looks at me. He's like, I think I want to go home. He's like, I think I want to go home. And I start crying. I was like, please don't leave me here. He's like, I'm not, but I mean, I'm serious. Like, I want to go home. Like, I have like this sense of just wanting to go home. Like, I don't want to be here, but I don't want to leave you and the baby here by yourself. Like, because this thing hurt me. I don't know if he's capable of hurting the baby. I don't know if he's capable of hurting you. And then everything just stops in the room. And I'm just like, I don't feel anything anymore. He's like, neither do I, but I don't feel like we're safe yet. And sure enough, sure as shit, he looks past the door, and the door is like, okay, so that's the kitchen right there. My room is in that corner back there. So you can see the kitchen if you just go like this for a minute. So I'm like, the baby starts getting hungry. I go out to make him a bottle, and I freeze in my tracks because the thing that I had been seeing in my nightmares for years is standing by the microwave. And Ashton's immediately like, babe, get back here. Like, get back in here. Give me the baby. Get back in here. And we get back in there, and I don't know how I was able to see it, but that must mean that it's very strong and very, very evil, because like, it only showed itself to me during sleep paralysis. It only showed itself to me in my nightmares. And now it's freaking showing itself to me now. And I'm sitting there just kind of like watching it. And this son of a bitch just starts rocking back and forth. Just swaying back and forth. And then I go to look at it that way, and it freaking turns its head this way. I go straight, and it looks at me, looks right at me again, and then I go like this, and it freaking goes like this, and I'm looking at Ashton, and I was like, are you seeing this? He's like, yeah, I see it. It's mocking you. It's not okay. Like, so I give the baby the binky to kind of tide him over for right now, because something just told me, like, I felt in my soul, like, to my core, that if I go out there, I'm gonna get hurt. Like, I don't feel okay. So, if y'all don't believe me, there will be a picture of the scratch on Ashton's back on my Instagram. And then the next time Ashton comes over here, he's gonna be like, nah, she ain't capping. Like, I'm not paid by YouTube. I would never make up a lie like this. I would never, like, try to make a lie up like this for money. Especially when I ain't getting paid in the first place. Like, so, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I am sitting on the bed reading my Bible and trying to read shit out loud. And the next thing I know, Ashton hits me. And I look up, I was like, what? And he's like, you don't remember any of that? I was like, any of what? Apparently, I stopped reading and I just kind of like spaced off and then looked at him and my eyes were red. This is all coming from Ashton's story. Like, my eyes were red and I started telling him these horrible things that, you know, this thing wants to do to my baby. Like, apparently I looked over and I said, cute baby, the world hasn't destroyed him yet, or something like that. And then I just kind of, and then it used my voice to say horrible things that it would do to my baby that I don't want to repeat here, but. And so Ashton basically had no idea what to do other than slap the shit out of me, and then it freaking made it bounce out of my body. I don't know how the hell that happened, but like, I believe it, because once I came back, my body was like hot all over, like burning, and and then his eyes freaking, like, this whole ordeal happened from freaking 10:25 p.m. to the 4 in the fucking a.m. Like, it's just been hours and hours of shit just happening, and I'm freaking the hell out, and the baby starts crying, and the baby is screaming every time this shit happens. Like, this thing, he can see it, and it's scaring him. And I asked Ashton, I was like, do you think that it wants to hurt him? And he said, if it wanted to do that, it would have already. It's just trying to scare him. And it's working. Like, it's just scaring him. He's fine. So, we basically, the way it ended was we just kind of got this magical idea to pray harder. So, we stand by the freaking closet where he originally saw it before I did. And we were like holding each other's hands and we were just praying. I'm shaking as it is right now, but I'm shaking and we're holding each other's hands and we're just like, in the name of Jesus, get out of our room. Like, you get out of this house, step away from the baby. This baby is under protection from the Holy Ghost. And just, I don't even remember what we said, but we were just praying. And then all of a sudden Ashton just says amen. And we just kind of didn't feel anything. I look into the kitchen and there's nothing there. And there's nothing there. There's nothing in the kitchen. We turn off the light to see if he could see something, and there's nothing there. The energy is gone. It's easier to breathe. The morning he left, as soon as we came back in the house, like, we wake up, we tell Brandy what happened, and Brandy said that the only reason why she believed us is because it came from Ashton and not me. But Ashton was the one that told her. I was like, she's not going to believe me if I say it. So he told her everything, and Brandy just kind of like, it's probably because Amberlee likes black magic, and I was like, I don't even do black magic. And then she's like, well, tell them about the voodoo dude. And I did, and freaking, she's like, isn't that the same demon that you've been complaining about for years? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I think that the voodoo that the guy did for you to get Nathaniel back, which I don't know why you would want him back. This is word for word what she said. She's like, I don't know why you would want him back. And I'm like, focus. She said, okay. I think that when he did that and you didn't pay, he probably did something to you because of the fact that you didn't pay. And it made whatever it is that you have been seeing mad. And he basically could have programmed it to kill you or do something. I don't know. Either way, you have one seriously pissed off demon, and I will take it upon myself to cleanse. I stayed the night at my grandmother's house that night because I said, fuck it, I'm not staying the night alone in here. Like, I'm done. So that night I sleep on my grandma's couch watching On My Block. Good show. And I actually stayed up all night, and I didn't even know. Like, she came down, she was like, it's 6 a.m, what are you doing? I'm like, I thought it was 9:30 p.m. No! Go to bed, okay. So she took the baby for me, and I went upstairs and slept in her bed. So we came back to this house after I woke up, and everything seemed lighter. It was easier to breathe. I went to bed early that night, and I slept peacefully for the first time in years. I felt like nobody was watching me. I didn't have sleep paralysis. I didn't have bad dreams. I had one of the best sleeps I've had since I was a junior in high school. Like, it was a pretty good sleep. And everything was fine until yesterday, which is why I decided to go ahead and tell this story. Yesterday, I'm talking to Ashton on the phone, and I tell him, I love you, good night. And he said, I love you too, baby, good night. And I hang up the phone, and I hear 3 knocks. Slow, and but slow like that, but it was 3. It was 1, 2, 3. And I'm thinking it's just my brother Ben fucking with me because he heard the story. And I'm like, Ben, stop. And there was nothing. There was complete silence. And then I heard it again. But it was coming from behind the wall, like as if it was happening from outside the room. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I go to open the door to scare him and say, bah! Like I normally would do. And he wasn't freaking there. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he just wanted to scare me for a bit and then ran off, making me think that it wasn't him. Which he does do a lot. So I just kind of carry on with my nighttime routine. I get in my pajamas. I go out here to smoke a cigarette. And when I come out here, as soon as I open the box, I hear it again. Only I hear it on the glass door. Just, you know. But like from inside. And I turn around and look and there's nobody there. Obviously, I'm getting kind of spooked, but I'm just like, you're just being paranoid. Brandy cleansed. It's okay. Like, it's okay. You know. And then, you know, everything was fine. I chilled in the bathtub for a bit and I just kind of soaked because my back was hurting. And I get out and I go back to the room. And when I went there, I just had this overwhelming feeling of wanting to just get in my pajamas and get out. Like, the baby's sound asleep, so I'm thinking I'm just being paranoid because the last time I felt something, he started screaming like something hurt him. And so I'm just like, I'm just being paranoid, but whatever, I'll go chill with Brandy while she's working and annoy her and kind of relax a bit, you know? So I do that. And I'm getting sleepy. So I have no choice but to go lay down. So I go to bed and I turn over on this side and I'm kind of scrolling on my phone because it's on the charger. And I swear to you, I felt like somebody taking their hand and just going like that. And what's trippy about that is Ashton and I play this game where we draw on the back in the ... line game that I do in my ASMR videos. Yeah, that was a childhood game, and I was showing Ashton the night that he was here. And, you know, the crack an egg over your head, and now you've got the shiveries, and it goes all the way down your back. I felt somebody do that to me, but only the crack an egg over your head part. And it was still tingling. Like, it was like tingling from here, and then it went all the way down, like I was watching an ASMR video. But it felt so much more intense than that. And I immediately freak out. I'm trying not to show fear. I just kind of make it seem like I just sat up. And I just unplugged my phone and took it in the room with Brandy. And I told her, I was like, are you sure you cleansed? And she said, yeah. Why? And I told her what I felt. She's like, are you sure you're not just tired? And I'm like, I'm sure. And then I showed her what I felt. And then I said, but it's much more intense than that. And she looked kind of suspicious. She's like, all right, well, I mean, I could go back in there just for peace of mind, but I swear, I don't, but at the same time, it seems like she just was trying not to scare me, you know, I genuinely feel like she believed me, but didn't want me to get scared. So, 2 a.m., I decided to go lay down, because Riley starts crying, and I get him up. He wasn't screaming like he did that first night, but he was just kind of visibly crying and showing me that he's hungry. So I make him a bottle, change his diaper, do that sort of thing. But I had this overwhelming feeling to do it in Brandy's room. Like, to do it in Brandy's office. I did not feel okay in that room. So I decided to do it in her room. I get him to sleep on my chest in there. And then finally, I just can't stay awake anymore. So I unplugged my computer that I was using in there. I unplugged my phone. And I start to carry everything back to my room. And nothing happened when I laid down and tried to go to sleep. But I did have this really trippy ass nightmare. And I had the reoccurring nightmare that I've been having for years. And the dream is very terrifying. The dream basically goes, I'm walking through this dark house and feel the need to run. Only this time I was carrying Riley. And Riley's just like laughing the entire time. Like, he's not affected at all. And I just feel in fear. Like, I'm running for my life in this dream. And I get stopped by this tall man in a top hat and a little cane. And I just was like, and when I was younger, my grandmother used to tell me, why don't you try telling the demon or whoever's chasing you that you know it's a dream? Because the scary part is I know it's a dream, but I can't force myself to wake up. So I'm trying to wake up. Like, I'm trying to wake myself up. And because I hear Riley, it's weird. Like, it's like I can hear everything in the dream realm on top of the real world. So in the real world, I hear Riley crying. So I'm trying to wake myself up so that I could go tend to him. And this thing just kind of looks at me and smiles. And he said, "Oh, you don't think I hear it too?" And I was like, "This is a dream. I'm going to wake up." And he started laughing at me. I was like, "It's a dream. Like, this is a dream. You are not real." And he finally gets really close to me. And this is the part that makes me get goosebumps every time. But he just goes, "If this is a dream, then why can't you wake up?" So I finally managed to wake myself up, and I'm drenched in tears and sweat, and I'm shaking, and I tend to Riley, I feed him, I change him, and I put him in the bed with me. I was like, yeah, no. And then I wake up again at like 6 in the mornings because he needs a bottle and he needs a diaper. So this entire morning, I have been doing everything I can to stay out of my room. I need to clean my room. I still have a shit ton of things to unpack, but I don't want to be in there. Like, I don't feel comfortable. I don't even feel comfortable leaving my son in there, but I have no choice because that's where his bed is, and it's just... And then earlier today, the story does not stop here. Earlier today, my brother's frantic. He swings the door open. He's like, "Riley's screaming." And I was like, "Why didn't you come get me when he started crying?" And he's like, "Because he just started screaming." I was like, "What do you mean he just started screaming?" He's like, "He wasn't whimpering or fussing like he normally does. He just flat out started screaming." Like, that was him starting to cry. That was when I heard him. It was silent, and then he's screaming. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. So I go back in there, I get him, and I mean, it's not night, so it wasn't as powerful, but I still felt the need to get out. Like, I just picked him up, grabbed his binky, grabbed wipes in a diaper, and booked it to the living room. And yeah, he doesn't want to be in there just as much as I don't. And I don't know what is going on, but if y'all could figure this out and help me so that I have a proper way to cleanse or whatever, because it seems like it worked a little bit, but it's just keeping it at bay. Like, it helped a little bit, but it's still pissed, and I don't know what to do. So if y'all could leave a comment down below, that would be great. My Cash App is in the bio, my Instagram is in the bio, and my Snapchat is wrong. Do not look at that. That's wrong. So, anyways, I love y'all. I'll see you on the next video. Stay body positive. Kate Winchester out. Hasta la bye bye. And God bless your nutty little hearts. And don't forget to go nuts. Picture of Ashton's back will be in the Instagram post.